me on a drive for some story time. I'm gonna tell you about how I went to Costa Rica with $1,000 and a whole lot of trust. Let's get into it. January 2020, I was living in New York City. I had just decided to leave my job because I knew this publishing deal was probably gonna happen at the time. So I was like, you know what? No better time to switch around my life, to do something that I've always dreamed of doing. Why not just go for it, take the leap? That has been my dream, my goal for as long as I can remember. I was over the moon. This was my dream company. It was on my freaking vision board. I just had a feeling I would be associated with this company. And mind you, this is January of 2020. This is before anybody even knew the actual definition of a pandemic. I'm so excited to tell the story. And my friend, his name is Blue, and he was like, you should come to this industry mixer event with me. I was definitely going through like a really big transition because I actually really liked the job. It was just taking up so much time, so I decided to just really focus on my songwriting. And so my friend Blue was like, come to this songwriting mixer with me. I was like, sure, why not? So I ended up meeting one of my good friends now. Her name is Sheila. And so the day after we met, we were texting. We were like, oh, like we gotta go get coffee. We should go get lunch sometime, whatever. And then she was like, oh, like I'd love to, but I'm actually gonna be going to Costa Rica for a festival. And I was like, wait, are you talking about Envision Festival? Because this is a festival I had always been wanting to go to. She was like, yeah, dude, you should come. And I was like, I can't just like go to a music festival in the jungle without being prepared or thinking about it or doing anything, right? Like no one does that. I ended up doing that. She convinced me because my biggest fear of going was, I guess, going by myself. I for some reason, I'm usually pretty adventurous, but I just didn't really want to go alone. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a sign. I just quit my job. I have some savings. Let me just go in full trust mode and just go pack my backpack, go to Costa Rica. So the day comes to fly, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't know if I want to go anymore. I had just met this guy and we were spending a lot of time together, and I was really starting to like him. I was like, is this the right time? Is this crazy? I was just in that like emotional, like love drunk moment. I was like, I don't think I want to go anymore. This is crazy. But I like just bought a ticket. I was able to like find someone who was reselling a pass for like a little bit cheaper than the actual price of a festival ticket. I got to the airport so late. I was just like, I am not making this flight. But this lady just like showed up and she was like, tell me where you're going, tell me what you need help with. And I was like, I'm just going to Costa Rica, I'm going here. And she's like, okay, you gotta go, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Let me walk you to the front. Like weird shit like that like just started happening. So this lady like randomly escorted me to like the front of the security check line. And I was like, damn, okay. They started calling my name on the speaker. I was so late to this flight. And I was actually really sad. I like left my jacket in the security thing. I still think about that from time to time. I literally get on the flight like just in time. So I'm on this flight and I'm so nervous and I'm like so sad. I'm like, I don't even know if I really want to do this anymore. I was just really going through it, and I was like, you know what? I'm here and I'm just gonna be fine. I'm gonna figure it out. So I get there, I get to the airport, and this was a really late flight. I think I got there like 9 p.m. or something like that. And once I got there, I was just kind of like, okay, I have to find basically like a cab driver or somebody to take me to this festival, or a bus, whatever it's gonna be. So I was just kind of like looking around, and basically I just started talking to, one second. And so I was looking around and I ended up seeing this guy, and he kind of like had like a, oh yeah, I'm going to Envision Festival, kind of like hippie dippy vibe. We struck up a conversation, and turned out he was going to the festival. So he's like, do you want to split a cab? And I'm like, yes, I do. So we ended up sharing a ride, which was really, really nice because it ended up being kind of far. It was like an 1.5-hour drive or something like that. So maybe even 2 hours. But anyways, we get there to the festival and I'm so excited. My plan was to meet up with Sheila, my friend. And she had extra space for me to stay where she was camping. So that was the plan, to meet up with Sheila there. I get to the festival and it was like 12 58 right here, and they're like, the ticket office closes at 1 a.m. I was like, oh my God, it's like basically right before 1 a.m. Will you please just let me in? I don't know, what else am I gonna do if you don't let me in? Like, my friend is there, like that's where I'm staying, and they're like, sorry, you have to come back in the morning, like the ticket office is closed now. And I was like, you've got to be shitting me. Like, what am I gonna sleep under a palm tree? Like, where am I gonna go? I was like, definitely freaking out a little bit, and I was like, okay, relax, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. We just have to figure something out now. I tried calling Sheila. There was nothing she could do. It just felt so chaotic. And I was just like, shit. Okay, we have to figure something out real quick. I asked him, I was like, are there any hotels? Are there any hostels in the area? He was like, you can try, but everything's booked for the festival. And I was like, great. I like didn't really have service. I didn't really know what to do. So I just see people that are like walking out of the festival. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to fucking YOLO it and ask someone if I can just like crash with them and be that person, because I don't have any other options right now. I'm literally like this girl with like a duffel bag and a backpack just standing there. 1 second. So I'm standing there waiting for someone to essentially come rescue me, to come save me, because I'm just alone, feeling very vulnerable in the middle of the jungle. So I was very audacious, more out of survival, but I had to be, you know. First I took a deep breath and I was like, stay calm, it's gonna be fine, something will present itself, you know. I wasn't brought to this moment to not have any options, it's gonna be okay. So I just kind of like suss out some people around me, and I saw this group of people and they looked like normal people, and I was like, hey guys, where do I begin here? Long story short, I can't get in. My friend is in there, that's where I'm staying, but I don't have a ticket yet because I just got here. So I can't get my pass until tomorrow morning. Would it be okay if I stayed with you? I know I'm a total stranger that you just met, but would it be cool? Like, maybe? So they turned out to be these really nice Panamanians. I asked, like, I think it was the girl or the guy, and they were like, interesting, okay. And I was like, oh my God, I look like a psycho, like what the hell, this is just, I don't know how this is gonna end. And so they're like, okay, like 1 second. So they go over and they like talk to some more friends, and they're all speaking in Spanish, and they're talking to their group. And then they're like, you know what, we wouldn't know what we would do in that situation either, so we're gonna let you stay with us. Ah, thank God, thank God. They're like, but here's the thing, we only have a hammock. That's like, you know what, a hammock beats sleeping on the beach or something. So yeah, I will happily accept if you will have me. And so they let me stay with them. So I got in their car, and they were all so nice and so friendly and so much fun. We actually like had a lot of fun together. We were just like hitting it off. It was like a really big group of people. And they're like, also the other thing is our Airbnb is like way on the top of a mountain. Are you okay with driving up there? Because it's like Jurassic Park status. I was like, I don't have any other options, so I'm okay. I'm perfectly okay. That sounds kind of fun, actually. We get to the top, and it's this beautiful Airbnb. It was so nice. It was this gorgeous house on top of the hill. And then so we're just hanging out. They're like, do you want a drink? They had food. Like, they were all very, very hospitable and very open and caring. And I was really, really grateful for that. I'm like, this is insane. This is incredible. One of the guys actually, like, he wanted to give me his bed. And I was really, really grateful. I was like, that's really sweet of you. But honestly, I'm a stranger, don't worry about it. Like, I'm okay sleeping in the hammock. Like, I'm just grateful to be here. So I slept in the hammock outside, which was actually like really nice. Like, mind you, I had just come from New York City into sleeping outside in a jungle, but like in a beautiful Airbnb. It felt like that, like half sleeping outside, half not. And the hammock was really comfy, actually. Surprisingly. Then I woke up, I remember, it was obviously really bright, but I woke up to the most beautiful scene of the ocean and a pool, and I was just overlooking the most stunning view I'd ever seen. And then we all just kind of like hit it off. We had really cool like spiritual talks about the universe. It was so crazy. connected really well with one girl, and I was telling her about how after this trip I was actually going to be going to Berlin to work on some music and start like my songwriting journey essentially. And she was like, no way, I actually like randomly met this guy when I was in Berlin who owns like a studio in Berlin. And I was like, what the hell are the odds? So she connected me with someone already for my next trip in Germany. So it just felt very meant to be, you know, as crazy as it was. So then that day, it turns out they're like, we're actually gonna go sightseeing today instead of going to the festival if you wanna come. So I was like, you know what? Sure, why not? We ended up going to this beautiful state park, and we went to this gorgeous beach where we like walked through the jungle, and then we went swimming, and then we got coconuts that we drank out of, and we saw monkeys, and they went out to eat, and it was just so nice. Like, it was just so much fun, and they were just really cool people. So it just worked out really, really well. I'm really, really grateful for that. Later that night, got to the festival, and I met up with Sheila, and the best part is that she had befriended someone who I, long story short, ended up becoming really, really good friends with too. So her name's Leonie, and we're still best friends. There was so much flow within all that, and it was such an adventure. And the festival ended up being so magical and so awakening. I highly recommend going to Envision Festival. We slept in a tent, but I also like didn't mind being on the jungle floor. There's so many people and there's music playing. It was just a really amazing experience. I had so much fun and I learned so much. I did a cacao ceremony for the first time. I heard about this festival through Yoga Girl. I had been a really big fan of her for a long time. Ever since Yoga Girl talked about Envision Festival, I was like, this is something I've been wanting to go to forever. So that's what brought me to Envision Festival initially. Needless to say, it was absolutely one of the most like awakening trips, but not even necessarily because of the festival, but because of how I had to get out of my comfort zone, and I had to really go into like hyper trust mode of, you know, like I need to figure this out and I need to make this work. And ultimately the trip, like we ended up doing it so cheaply. Round trip, the flight was around close to $500, and then the rest of the trip we either just like stayed with friends or camped. Yeah, there was an Airbnb like here and there, but with everything it ended up being like around $1,000. So I mean, these things add up really quickly for sure. But like the bus to the airport was literally $5. You can do things very reasonably. Okay, so this was a night after the festival, and so Leonie and I were standing at this street in this like little surf town, and we were like, okay, let's try to see if we can just go back home, because that's where we have a place to stay, you know what I mean, like back to her friend's place, but we need a ride there. So we're like, let's just see if we can just like hitchhike a ride with someone from the festival and just see what we can get away with. We're obviously both, we just kind of like live on the edge, but in like a safe way. I will say I have a really strong intuition, so like getting myself into those situations, I've developed a very deep trust with myself. That's how I feel like I'm able to operate those kind of scenarios. So we were standing at the end of the street, we were hitchhiking, we were trying to find someone, and first this truck that came and wanted to pick us up, and it was like these two guys, and I was like, no, I just like, it was not it. I just had this feeling, I was like, no, this doesn't, something here just doesn't feel right. So I was like, Leonie, this bus just looks sketchy, like we're still in Costa Rica, like these are, it just didn't feel right. So I told her, I was like, Leonie, we're not going in that truck with these guys. No, hell no. So then this car came with two guys that were like closer to our age, and they were like very normal, and they asked us like what we were doing, and we're like, oh, like we're just gonna go back home. It's just like an hour drive, we don't know where you're going, but we're thinking we could just like find someone who's going that direction anyways and find a ride back. And they're like, well, we actually have an Airbnb and we're just making dinner, we were just picking up some drinks if you want to come out with us. And there was like a Envision after party, like after the festival they had this like big after party. and we're like, oh shit, is this what we're about to do? So I was a little bit like nervous just because they were dudes, you know, but at the same time I was like, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. So, you know, I will say sometimes it is hard, you know, you don't fully know, but I was like, this seems fine. I really felt it. Like, I was like, this is gonna be okay. The only time I actually started getting nervous was when we like made this turn. We were just going up this hill like in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, well, if this is where I die, then this is where I die. But I just had to go in like full trust mode, you know? And of course, everything ended up being fine, more than fine, like better than we could have even imagined. We get to this, again, stunning Airbnb, which we didn't know at the time, but was overlooking the entire ocean. This brand new, beautiful house with an infinity pool, everything. It was like half indoor, half outdoor. And there was like this group of girls, and they were all like cooking dinner. Like, one girl turned out she was like a chef. So she was making this like gourmet meal, and she was just like feeding us like plates of food. And then we were drinking, and then we were starting to get ready to go to the after party, and we were literally just about to go home. Like, it was just so cool how it all worked out that way. So that was another experience where we just had to go drop into full trust, you know? And it ended up working out even better. And then the next day we went to this big ass waterfall, which was so fun. Like, they had this like off-roading car, and yeah. And now we like still follow each other on Instagram. So it's so funny how things work out like that. Real quick, why is there so much traffic on a Saturday in Los Angeles? Like where's everyone going? Anyways, so all that to say, another thing is on my way back, I didn't have cash to go for the bus to go back to the airport, and there was a very nice man who also still follows me on Instagram now, who paid for my bus ticket. And I guess that's probably one of the perks of being a girl. But still, it was another thing where I was just like, you know, he didn't have to do that. That was really, really nice of him. And then my last story. These are my 3 trust stories of when I went to Costa Rica. First time I went to Costa Rica, I went to a yoga retreat, and I had taken a few days before that to go like sightsee. There were these really big riots going on in Costa Rica while I was there. So there was all this traffic, and I had to be at the airport to meet up with like the group of people that were going to the yoga retreat, because we were gonna take the bus there. And I was hella stressed because I wasn't banking on there being all this traffic. It was just like people like holding up traffic just to make a scene. So basically it was like 1 lane with all traffic. Then there were 2 lanes going the other way. And there was a moment when there were no cars coming. I was like, you know what, fuck it. I am just gonna go drive, quickly skirt, and go down this lane to try to pass all these people so I can get out of here faster. And I felt so bad about it, but I was like, it's gonna be fine. And then out of nowhere, a truck comes and is driving directly towards me. And I had nowhere to go for a second. And then, for whatever reason, somehow, some way, there happened to be an opening in between the whole line of cars. There happened to be an opening where I literally just booked into, and so my car literally was like into this lane, and it was within like minutes of me having a full-on head-on collision with a truck. And I don't know what to say, but it was one of those moments where I felt very stupid, and I literally didn't care about anything after that. I was like, Nelly, I would rather miss this yoga retreat or the bus there, like whatever. Like, I'm not risking my life anymore, essentially. Like, I just stayed in that line. I think I just cried because I was so shook and scared, but also in like such awe of how the universe just provided me with that space right there to save me. That would have been disastrous. It would have been, I don't think I would have been here to tell the story yeah, enough, needless to say, that was insane. It was a moment that like definitely sticks out to me in my life, where I'm like, we're all here for a reason, and if it's not your time, it won't be. Like, everything happens for a reason, and that collision was not supposed to happen, you know? So it's just really, really cool how life kind of rearranges itself in a way. All these experiences at the end of the day have really shown me that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, whatever higher power that you do or don't believe in, is there for you. I believe that there are external forces that definitely guide us and push us in directions. And I feel like having these experiences, like especially traveling solo to other countries, it really helps strengthen that trust muscle. It forces you to think of everything, to be 10 steps ahead, you're the only one looking out for yourself, and so you have to just be fully on it. Okay, I hope you liked these stories. I've been wanting to tell these stories for a long time, and I'm happy that I just decided to do it. I highly recommend solo traveling. You learn so much. You learn so much about yourself. You learn about people. It just helps you grow on another level because you're forced to figure things out very rapidly. And I think it's one of the ultimate ways to help you grow, because you just have to really go out of your comfort zone and talk to people and talk to strangers and make new friends. And ultimately, like, I feel like those are skills that will help you the most in life. If I can leave you with any other words of wisdom, it would just be to be adventurous and believe that the world is a kind place, because I really believe everyone does want to help everyone. And if you're a good person, if you're in a trusting mode, and if you believe in the goodness of people and that the world wants to help you, like, that's what will be shown to you, you know? And it really all depends on what frequency you're on. I know that if I had showed up with fear and just freaked out and shut down, I couldn't go into problem solving mode. And I think that's the best thing that these trips helped me, was to really go inside, come into myself. All you can do is freak out or start figuring out a solution. The universe, which is what I believe, I call it the universe, God, whatever it is, it wants to see you succeed, and it wants to help you, and it wants to support you, and it'll never leave you hanging. It'll never leave you stranded, even if you're in the middle of the jungle in Costa Rica. So I hope that inspired you. I hope it inspires you to travel, because ultimately it's fun, and I love these stories that came out of it, and I got to meet new friends, and you get to just witness humanity in a way that you usually don't, I feel like, in your day-to-day. I hope that inspired you, and to go out there and practice your trust muscle, and that life will only match whatever energy you're giving out. So it all works out better than you would have imagined, and then you get to come back with these fun stories. So yeah, those are my experiences.